Oh, look, Debs is dancing.
We've just materialised on screen, you see.
Get down tonight. Get down
Get
tonight.
down tonight. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight.
It's time to watch now. Maybe we should stop that.
We've got to have a little dance.
Today is brilliant because all of my lives today are with three of like my bestest friends, who I've all met through being in business, which is just incredible. In fact, between you, Estelle, and Donkey, you probably know every secret or thing that I have in my life. So also a little bit terrifying to have three people who know you so well. But you're just incredible, Dev. So I wanted you to come and speak to us. One, you're a coach, you do mindset, you do NLP, you have all these lovely tools, but you've also been in our shoes. You've also been in network marketing. So just briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about that part of your life.
Okay, cool. So back in 2003, I'll go a little bit before that. Back in 2003, I had a really good friend. She'd had cancer and kept going for tests. She just had a test that said she was all clear. And I'd kept saying, Steph, you look really great. Please go and ask for a second opinion because I'm not convinced. And when she actually did get to see a consultant, she was riddled with it. And 12 days later, she was gone. And she was 34 and I was 32. And that just made me stop and think, what the hell am I doing teaching in a school where I don't like the policies? I love being in the classroom. I don't like the policies. I was in a marriage which wasn't particularly going anywhere. And I'd always wanted to travel. So within a week, I'd quit my job, told the husband to book his ideas up, book tickets to travel the world, and put the house up for sale. Some things can really change quickly.
Quite an impact.
It made a massive impact. And I wanted to travel the world to find what I wanted to do. And when I came back from my travels, and so back then I was heavily influenced by what other people said. So even though that was quite a big, bold, brave move to do, while I was traveling, I had my mum at home saying, make sure you've got a job for when you get back. Oh, I found you this job. So when you get back, you can do this. I was planning to be away for a year. Mum found me a job in a school, which was only for a term. And I ended up coming back 5 months early for this job.
I never knew that part of the story before.
I know, I don't. It shows how I used to people please a lot. And if other people said, do this, I'd do it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So when I came back, I did this job for a term and I needed something. It didn't pay me for the summer holidays, this teaching job. It only paid me for the summer term. So I needed something to cover me from the beginning of the summer holidays to the end of September, when I'd also got another job booked for the next year in a school part-time. So I answered an advert for delivering and collecting catalogues, earning, I think it was £200 to £400 a month. And I thought, oh, well, that'll get me by. That'll be something. And ended up with a network marketing company for 10 years because I saw the opportunity. I realised that it was bigger than delivering and collecting catalogues, and set about getting customers, getting team members, and really enthusiastic about it. I qualified for Vienna, Caribbean cruise, all those types of things. But the two major things that were holding me back was the fact that I was people pleasing. So if somebody said, do this, I'd do it. And sometimes it went against the grain. And the other thing was, so there's a guy that's just re-come back into my life. Is that a saying?
Re-emerged into your life.
Re-entered my life. That's much better than re-come. There's a guy that's just re-entered my life.
So I'm glad you said re-entered your life rather than re-entered you then.
My life. Honestly. So So I met Jamie Stewart when I was in Vienna. I'd qualified for a 5-star weekend in Vienna, and Jamie Stewart was the managing director of the company that I was with. And I was told to go and sit with Jamie. I was pretty much plonked next to him. Go and talk to Jamie. He'll be a good person to talk to. And I kind of went, hi, because I was fine standing in front of a group of 1,000 kids and the teachers doing an assembly. Absolutely cracking. Zone of genius. Put me in front of a guy in a suit when I'm in a dress and heels. Oh, no. So
I can't imagine you not being confident.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? So, and I kind of went, hello. Well, guy in big places as well, managing director. I thought that was, way above my station at the time.
Wow.
I know. So I said hello. He said hello. How are you enjoying the weekend? And I said, oh, it's great. And literally that's where the conversation ended, because little did I know, not only was I shy, but he was also really shy as well. So, so the conversation didn't go anywhere. He's just come back into my life and I go to some of his networking things, and he's now very confident because he's learned NLP as well. And so did I. So throughout my 10 years in this business, I kind of, I lost my way a little bit. I used to read all the books and know all the knowledge, but I'd go, I know this, but I beat myself up for not doing it. And I bet there's some of you out there who know the stuff and beat yourself up on a daily basis for not doing the stuff.
Isn't it so funny? Isn't it so funny that we can know all the right things to do, all the action, everything, the things I should be posting on this social media channel, I should reply to that person, I need to get back to this, I should go find an event. We know how to do it all, and we don't do it. Even when it's like simple of a message comes into our inbox, and instead of going, I'll reply to that person straight away, it sounds like a good lead, we go, I'll put that there and I'll think about what I'm going to say, because I want it to be perfect. I don't want to muck up this lead. I don't want to do this. Oh, that's a bit scary. It's outside my comfort zone. Or we self-sabotage ourselves by our inaction so much. Absolutely. And all of us, every single hands up, I do this, still do this. We still have things that I know I need to get around to doing, haven't got around to doing them. Don't know why, because underneath there's fear and stuff that holds us back. It's bonkers. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Things build up, things get in there as fears. They come from a place that you probably don't even know of, and they stop us in our tracks and stop us from doing things. While I was in this business, I actually started working for a call center because I wanted to improve my telephone calls, because I was scared of picking up the phone, which is ridiculous, because before mobile phones, I would pick up the phone and have 3-hour conversations with people. No problem.
Do you know, I was thinking this today, the whole idea of ringing someone in today's society is totally different. You're right. Before mobile phones, you couldn't send a text. You couldn't pre-organize a time that you were going to call someone. You would just pick up the phone and hope that they might be around, and you'd ring them, and you'd have no fear of that.
You or you would pre-organise a phone, but it had been 3 days at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you'd have to remember, and they'd have to remember. But if somebody phoned on your phone and their phone at the same time, that phone call would be vetoed.
But now it's like, we can't ring them. I might try. I send a text and see if they're available. I'll see if
Yeah, nobody used to worry about that. Kerry's just said, now if it rings, we stare at it like it's like, who's that?
Well, I did this. I was literally on here before, and I was like, someone from Northern Ireland's calling me. No.
Well, I did guess that was because it was like 30 seconds before we went live.
Yeah, but still, I wasn't going to answer it. They tried calling yesterday. I don't know who you are. I'm like, you're not worthy of my time yet. You haven't pre-authorized yourself by sending me a text to say that you're going to call me, or an email or something.
Absolutely. So I worked in this call centre to get better at calls, and I really did get better at doing calls while I was working in the call centre. I worked in complaints.
So I had a bit of practice, a bit of experience.
Yeah, exactly. So working with people who are constantly going, I want to make a formal complaint about my bill, because it was the gas and the electric. Uh, you get used to picking up the phone and saying, hi, you've answered an advert about delivering and collecting catalogues, right? So whatever your I listened to Estelle's training early, and you said about the freebie giveaway that you were doing. If that's leads, oh, you entered the freebie giveaway. Well, I wanted to tell you that unfortunately this time you've not won. However,
Yeah.
I can offer you this. Who does that? Anybody?
Not so much these days. No, you should do.
The problem, so this is another thing. The problem is that we shut ourselves all over the place.
Yeah,
Stop
sorry.
shutting yourself all over the place. Sarah knows this as a word that if I ever say it, she looks at me in disbelief
If
and
I say
knows
to
that I
Deb,
need to work on
Deb, she
myself.
should do this. She doesn't talk for me 3 days.
No. I literally repel at the word should. No, it's like the devil's come on me. So using the word should, you're guilt tripping yourself straight away.
Yep.
So it's will I, won't I, can I? Don't say can't I, because that's limiting belief. You can.
Is that I feel like it
choose
should
to,
be
I
sent.
choose
Oh no, I still put the should in there. I feel like spending more time on this will benefit me. There we go.
Yes.
It's a long-winded saying, so I should do something though. Okay, sorry.
Well,
So
just say I can.
we've gone off track. So you went to practice your calls. You went into the call center. That worked. Where do we go next?
So starting to make calls, it was much easier when I got a lead in to make a call, because I'd sit on a lead for a good couple of days thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? I had a script to follow and I didn't know what to say. Because I made it up that I didn't know what to say. It was a limiting belief. And actually what the real problem was is that I didn't want to hear the word no. That was the real problem.
Okay,
We don't want to
spoiler
hear the
alert,
word no.
all of you are going to hear the word no quite a lot in this promotion boot camp. So just get used to that. No, thank you. It's not for me. You might get ghosted as well.
I'm looking for my squeaky pig. You know these stress things. I have
Why
a pig.
a squeaky pig?
So this is a story. So so I have a pig version of this cow, and all over the pig are initials of people that I used to work with in the call centre, because I did a training called Go for No. There's a book called Go for No by Andrea Waltz and can't remember the partner. It'll come. And the book tells you to embrace the no. It also shows you, I need a pen because I've not got this on a PowerPoint. The book also shows you that quite a lot of us
love that there's props going out. Yeah, Kerry, we are mothers and we do hear the word no all the time. Do you want some more toast? No!
Is that backwards or is it forwards? Is it all right?
Failure to success. It's forward to me. It's the right way round.
Well, this is how a lot of people think that this is how you get success from failure. How they describe it is that you get to success.
You got a dog at your house?
No, it's next in one of the houses at the back.
So
is that you get to success by going through failure.
Ooh, like it.
And what I say is there is no failure. There's only feedback. Because whenever you fail, whenever you don't get something right, it's feedback for getting it right the next time.
It is indeed.
So the reason why we had squeaky pig initials on my squeaky pig is because we did a no challenge. So at the call centre I was at, we had to raise leads. It was part of our targets. We got bonuses for hitting them. Yet still people failed to ask the question, shall I put you through to get some prices for? Because they didn't want to hear the word no. So I ran a no challenge to say, if you get 10 no's, you can put your initials on the squeaky pig. Get 10 no's, put your initials on the squeaky pig. Because the more no's you get, the more yeses you get. Which team raised the most leads that week? Our team did.
Yes.
Because we were going for no. We weren't going for yes. We were going for no.
Makes a huge difference. I love that someone's just put on here. I remember Pete Cloughy, I don't know who that is, many moons ago, still after winning Top Recruiter by saying he was up on the stage because he'd heard the word no more times than anyone else. Very true. It's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of no's I've had since I've joined this business. Thousands of them. Ghosted, not replied to. I've been told I'm scum of the earth for doing that MLM scam thing. How dare people like you scam people out of all this money? Like what the business has given me loads of money. I've helped other people get loads of money. I think I carry on.
Yeah.
It was before your time. So I'm wondering if that's Philippa then. I'm trying to work out who's in this group. There's some people in here who have been doing this for a very long time. I said on the last live that I was a bit of a relic. There are people who I bow down to who have done this for so many years. So I think there's a bit of illusion around confidence. I'm going to throw this in here as well.
Huge.
That people believe that people who are confident have always been confident. That they were kind of just born with it. That you and I were always the kind of loud extroverts who would come up on stage and do a live like this and have a giggle and not care and not have makeup on and any of that kind of stuff. Is that the case?
No.
Why have you put your name as Deborah?
Because I'm invoking the god of Ra.
I've never known you to refer to yourself as Deborah.
I've started changing how I do things, my love. So confidence is one of those things that it's more of a feeling that you have inside. People always thought I was confident because I used to be loud and brash over things because I didn't want people to realize how nervous I was actually inside. So I'd put on a mask I used to call it a mask of confidence, where and it's okay to act as if you're confident.
Oh God, we've all done that at some point in our life, taken that deep breath and like, okay, I just need to go and do it. Whether it was an interview, whether it's speaking to an ex when you go to collect your stuff, whether we've all just had that. Okay, just need to get through it. And you give yourself that little self-talk, don't you? You can do this. You've got this. It's only going to take 10 minutes. Just go in there, look them in the eye, smile when you're meant to smile, get the hell out of there, and then you can fall to pieces if you need to.
Absolutely. So this is how unconfident I was back when I was looking for a teaching job in my last year of uni, and I was looking for a teaching job. I went for 28 teaching interviews. I used to be so nervous going into doing the teaching bit was fine. And all of my feedback said you were the best teacher. So I knew I was the best teacher, but actually in an interview where I had to say specific words to get points to pass the interview, I'd forget the words because I was so nervous. My mum used to give me St. John's wort droplets to supposedly calm me down. And actually, my first ever teaching job came because a friend of mine messaged and said, oh, there's a teacher that's going on maternity leave and they need cover. And I phoned the school before they'd actually placed the advert. I was the only one that was interviewed, got on really well with the head teacher because we just had a giggle, basically. And that's, so I was okay talking to just a couple of people, but it wasn't a formal interview. Things like that, I was so nervous at.
Can I just do a show of hands? Can you put your hands up in the comments if you've taken Rescue Remedy at some point in your life? Because you feel like that. I will put both hands up. Like, you've been there with it. Like we all have. It's all very real, isn't it? And this whole nerves and not having confidence. It's natural. And I said earlier when I did a live that, for me, video was massive. I hated how I looked. I hated how I sounded. I made all these assumptions that anyone would see me and immediately would be judging me and going, ugh. Like, do you know, why do we feel like that? Who has ever looked at somebody and gone, ugh, I don't want to listen to them because of her voice or the way she looked? We don't. Like, But in my head, it was like, oh my God, all these kind of people just, want to stay in the background. And there's a photo of me in my first gala, and I've literally had to go up on stage, and I'm hidden at the back of the stage behind everyone else because I don't want to be seen. Even when we went to the India travel incentive, I put myself at the back of all the photos because I didn't like how big I looked, and I didn't want to be seen, and I didn't really want to be there.
And this is how we all hold confidence differently. Because I used to dance in theatres and all that kind of stuff, me going on a stage and waving because I've got some kind of recognition, I was like, I'm on stage, it's time to perform.
Well, I did dance shows and things, but still on that, it was like, oh, different stage.
different stages of your life can have an effect on it as well. But actually, all it is a belief. There's a belief, or there's something that's holding you back. It's not particularly confidence, because if you're confident in one area of your life, then you can be confident in another.
Well, I think this is the point. Everyone can be confident in whatever they want to be confident in, because it's something that you kind of, confidence breeds confidence. So as you said, you went and practiced how to do, you went, I mean, that's a massive step of commitment. I'm going to go get a whole job that forces me to have phone calls every day purely to get better at it. I mean, hats off, that's incredible. But I think we're living proof that you can learn to be more confident. It's not inbred. It's not just there. I love in the honesty. Everyone's put their hands up and going like, yeah, I've taken rescue remedy. We're all real people, and we've all had fears and knockbacks and nerves and anxieties and all this kind of stuff. Trust me. But some people move past it and become successful, and some people allow it to keep us in a bubble. And we're not going to get into like politics and the government, but we're almost designed in today's culture to be kept in a bubble. We are told to drink alcohol, we're told to have a 9 to 5 job, we're told to do this, and actually you raise yourself out of it. So that's what we want to do today, isn't it? Is raise people out of the limiting beliefs, the fear of judgment, the worries of what other people are going to think, the worries of how you're going to feel if you make a tit of yourself. I've made a tit of myself on many. Do you know what I did this morning? So I am in a wrap dress. It wraps around and ties. As I walked on the school run today, I suddenly noticed this had come untied and was starting to like unravel. And I was checking my phone, everything else going, oh my God, trying not to flash. Last week I caught this dress on the edge of a seat at trampolining competition. I literally pulled the whole thing open as I tried to get down, untangle me from a seat 3 rows back.
the dress of exposure.
This is now the dress of exposure. Yeah, some reason I'm still wearing it. I don't know what that says about me. We all have embarrassing moments. We all have
embarrassing moments. And we all survive them, don't we? I mean, we're all here after
story. You all laugh about them afterwards.
So this is the thing. So we all have these embarrassing moments. The thing is that we cling on to those embarrassing moments like they're an award, and we go, "Oh, I can't do that again because that might happen again. Oh, I can't do this again because that might happen again." And we put all these can'ts around everything, and can'ts are limiting beliefs. It's a belief that's limiting you in what you're actually wanting to do with yourself. So, but I also want to know who can remember a time when they were confident. Put your hand up in the chat if you do know what confidence feels like, and you can remember a time when you were confident. Because I can't tell you right now how many clients I have, and I say, "Do you know what being confident actually feels like?" And they go, "No idea, never been
because
confident."
You don't recognize it. You like you and I, we're confident right now. Like I'm more than confident to do a live, to talk with you, to do you know what part of it is? Part of when you become confident in more areas is when you truly allow yourself to be your authentic self, where you allow yourself to talk on camera and be who you are, where you're not trying to be someone else to please others. You're not trying to be that person you think that. So when I'm hanging around with you, I'm not like, oh, I need to be a person who's a little bit more quieter, or a little bit like this, because Debs will like that person more. I don't care whether you like me more or less, like quite frankly.
You were quieter yesterday, and I was like, "Are you all right?" I was very confused.
when my daughter was half falling asleep at the table, I was like, that's because I feel like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's that being true to who you are. You are perfect and lovely and beautiful and wonderful, just being who you are. Trying to conform to who you think someone wants you to be, you are in a losing battle, because you can't mind read what anyone wants you to be anyway. So you're second guessing everything. And as females, hormones and things don't help with this. I used to be guilty. If I went on the school run and I was due on, and I found out mums were going for coffee and I had an invite, that was like the worst thing in the world. Then it was a conspiracy. How dare they? They purposely left. It's not because no one just bumped into me in the school run to say like, no, it was a conspiracy. No one wanted me there. I was the mum they didn't want to come for coffee, or like it was all load of bollocks. But it's hormones and things that we put in our heads, and then they're not true. And once you can realize that who you are as you is great, then being a bit more confident comes a little bit easier, I think. Oh,
It does. It does.
added a screen.
I'm going to share something with you, because I think this may be helpful at this point with what you've just talked about. So this is what we call the cause and effect equation, and this is something that can help you get empowerment for yourself. So when we're on the effect side of the equation, we make reasons and excuses for why we can't do something. It's where the finger of blame is being pointed at someone else. And if you all point your finger at the screen right now, you'll notice that 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So whatever you put out there, you'll get it back threefold in some way or other. I know. It's where excuses happen. It's where we blame other people. It's where it's always somebody else's fault and it's never ours. It's where the can'ts happen. I can't do this because of. Those reasons and excuses, if we're on the effect side, we're on the side of playing the game of victim.
Yeah. Oh, I've just not had the same upbringing they've had. Oh, I've not had. Do you know one of the most powerful moments for me? I sat at stage at a different network marketing conference, and someone went up on stage and they played the song Mariah Carey, Hero. And then she stood on the stage and she's like, I realized that my knight in shining armor was never coming. And I had to be the person to rescue me and be my own hero in my own story for my own life. And my God, are we as women brought up on freaking Disney and told that a man's going to come in and rescue us and make our life amazing. And don't get me wrong, men are amazing, but we have it within us to make our lives absolutely incredible. And we freaking deserve it as well. Everything we want, we have the ability to go out and get ourselves. We are incredibly privileged just to be in a Western society where we have access to everything, and we take it for granted. We can go on social media and reach 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people today with the content we put out. We can have access to messaging thousands of people. You know, we are so privileged to have that. We take it for granted, but we need to realize we're not waiting for a life that we want to fall into our plates. We have to stand up and go, I am the hero in my story. I am the reason. Forget all the excuses. There's always going to, you know, in those fairy tale stories, there's always a dragon, a witch. There's always something that comes into the thing. It's never a straightforward, oh, we're going to go and win this battle just by walking along the road or whatever it is. The pot of gold is just going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, take the Wizard of Oz. There's always things that come out like along the yellow brick path. You never just walk the path, but you have to be your own hero to get the success you want.
Absolutely. I'd like to do a little, I'd like to ask people that are watching to put in the comments the things that they use as excuses, especially as a mum.
Oh, I don't have enough time. My children are at home all the time. I never get any time to do stuff for myself. Oh, I can write a whole list of this. I'm just too tired. I don't get enough sleep.
Any more?
Oh, my partner doesn't like me spending too much time on my phone. I don't have enough confidence. I get a lot. I'm just not good enough. I want to say everyone else put some comments in. Because I could list these forever. Lack of sleep, too much to do. That's
too much to do is a massive one. Because what we forget to do is we keep it all up here in our heads as like this mental list. then it kind of becomes jumbled up like a big ball of wool that's, got lost in the bottom of the basket and you can't find the end. Dogs to walk, that's another one.
Yeah, my husband works away.
Yeah, my husband works. So, and what we do is when there's too much to do or any of those things,
Dyslexia, that's a good one.
I'll come to that one actually. Remind me to come back to that one. What we do is we then go, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed with the amount of things that I have to do. What we forget to do is do really simple things like write it down or put it in a note on your phone, make a list of things that are more important than other things, make a timetable of your week so that you know where you can slot things in and where you've got time. The thing that pulled me into the network marketing business that I had is because they said it'd fit into 4 to 6 hours a week. So around my teaching job, I had to find 4 to 6 hours a week to fit it in. So the
That's
first
a
thing I
huge
ever
amount of time as well. I don't tell people they need 48 hours a week.
4 to 6.
Oh, 4 to 6. Oh, that's all right. I thought it said 46.
Yeah.
It's like 46 is a hell of a lot of hours.
Yeah, and a maximum of 15 if you wanted sort of £400 or whatever.
Do you know what? I'm going to interrupt very quickly because you've touched on something which is kind of a key element. So obviously in my mind, I've created what this boot camp is going to look like along the next 6 weeks. I've touched on bits and released bits of it, but obviously haven't given the full thing away. But a massive thing in my mind, almost a tagline of this, is take control of your day. So for everything that's kind of underlying within what I'm doing is this whole like take control of win the morning, win the day. So take control of when you're getting up, take control of the fact that you have children and a lot of stuff to do, because you're right, it becomes very overwhelming when you haven't got a timetable, when you're not clear on it. There's many people today who've watched the last live, watching this live, and will watch the next live. That's almost 3 hours of their day that they've managed to dedicate to their Osborne business, around everything else when it was put on them without much notice or anything else. Yet most people will not find 3 hours a day to put on their Osborne business usually.
Yes.
Because we're not taking control of our time and a day. I've got 3 other jobs, multiple jobs. When I started this business, I had this business. I was working freelance in a marketing role. I was doing Open University. I was pregnant with my 4th child and had 3 other children. There is busy. And so taking control is huge. I just wanted to emphasize that when you said about timetables and that being in control of your day and being in control of your life and having a plan rather than life dragging you. Again, hands up, who's just felt like life is kind of putting them in all directions at some point, and it's just kind of happening and you're falling along and it's kind of going. Like, I know I've been like that before, and all of a sudden you're like, it's almost like you wake up and go, how did I get here? How did I end up with kids and a husband and all this kind of stuff? And it's just, life just drags you along if you're not planning it. Getting all passionate today.
Absolutely. So let's move that across to results.
Yeah.
So results are where you take responsibility. So taking responsibility is writing a timetable to find out where those little slots of time can be. One of the things I love about you, I met you initially on I think it was a laughter yoga course that Duncan had run. Duncan had run it via his group or whatever. And you were sat in trampolining.
Yep.
And you phone me a lot from trampolining.
Yep.
So whenever Sarah's at the either trampolining or when the kids used to do drama or anything like that, that's when I'd get a call. I know she phones people in the team at that point. They're little slots of time. You don't have to sit there watching the kids. You can actually make productive use of that time. There's times I know that you've sat there sending emails or whatever. Even last night, I'd gone round to see Sarah. It was a last minute decision. And she said, but I will have to send an email while you're here. I'm like, that's fine.
That was boot camp email, which I was also right. So when we were on the phone last night, I was like, I'm going to have to get off the phone now, Deb, because I need to go in and do some work before you come round. And then I was like, I've still not finished all my work. So when you come round, I'll still be doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
I took
fine.
control. I had my social time with you. We had a lovely dinner out. We danced along the street on the way home, but I was in control of the fact that I still had work that needed to be done at the same time. You can do both.
Yeah. So what can you take responsibility for? So when I first ever started as a coach with NLP, I had an initial conversation with somebody that I used to know from down the pub. Down the pub, I was known as Auntie Debs because I used to listen to everybody's problems. And he said, well, now you're qualified. I wonder if you could help me. He told me this big story. His parents had died when he was 4, all kinds of things. And he was stuck drinking alcohol every night, stuck in a dead end job that he didn't like. And I had one conversation with him about cause and effect. And he was like, well, how can I be responsible for my parents dying? And I went, you don't have to take responsibility for your parents dying. You're responsible for what your life is like from now on. You don't have to live in that. He was in his 30s and he was still thinking about this tragic thing that had happened when he was 4, and the fact that he'd gone through the adoption system and all homes for children and all that kind of stuff, and that was still holding him back in his mid-30s. And I literally said, so what can he take responsibility for? And he took that one sentence, applied for another job, got a management position, moved cities, went travelling with his friends. He'd always said he couldn't afford to travel with his friends. Well, he couldn't because he was drinking every night. So he gave up the alcohol so he could afford to travel with his friends. And now he's an inspirational guy. I think he's fantastic. That was one conversation. So if you take the line, what can you take responsibility for today and in your future? What would you do?
I think that's a huge breakthrough moment, isn't it? The moment you suddenly realize that you are the one accountable for what you have or you don't have in your life right now, and the decisions that you made to take you to where you are right now. It's no one else. It's not bad luck. It's not the environment. It's not everything else. It's the decisions that you've made within that, and the decisions that you make from now on. Huge. It was a game changer for me as well. That whole accountability of like, holy shit, it's not, because obviously my mum dying, having to leave my house, living on sofas at one point. I had a lot that I could blame. Like, it was so unfair. It was so unfair that
So
happened to me and hadn't
unfair.
happened to anyone else. It's not fair that my dad reacted like that. It's not fair that my mum just died. But actually, it was all the poor decisions I made from that point that had taken me to the drug addictions and being on sofas and no stability and no money in my pocket because it all went out my nose and on alcohol. And that moment is like, well, that was me. There was nothing to do with that. It was my decisions. Massive game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can you do if you've got a lack of sleep? So we work on a sleep cycle. So circadian rhythms are like 90 minutes. So figure out how much sleep you need in those 90-minute cycles. So for me to get, I can have either 6 hours or 7.5 hours. If I have any longer than that, I'm poorly. So I know if I have 6 hours sleep and I set my alarm for a 6 hour sleep, I'm fine. There are some of you out there that are probably 9 hour people. So if you need 9 hours of sleep and you've got to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you've got to go to bed at 10.
I think the problem with lack of sleep is that what people will be saying on here is more that they're interrupted by children waking throughout the night. That's a little bit harder.
It's a little bit more challenging
control.
it's a little bit more challenging, and I get it. So my mum's got Alzheimer's. She gets up and wanders in the middle of the night. So my reticular activating system is always on high alert, waiting for the door to go, wondering where my mum is wandering to. So I totally get the lack of sleep thing. I don't have children. Mum is like having a small child. Okay, she can't talk. She does things that she doesn't know what she's doing. So
she does love a boogie though and a sing song.
She does have a boogie and a sing song, but you do that with your kids anyway, don't you?
Exactly.
So what you're doing is when you wake up, it's about knowing how to get back to sleep quickly again.
Yeah. I think it's also this as well. It's understanding it's not forever. So
Yeah,
I
not
completely
forever.
get this. I had terrible sleeping children. My eldest used to wake up every 15 minutes, and I spent about 5 years, if not more, feeling like I was living under a cloud. I mean, Debs will tell you, I'm an 8 hours sleep person. I don't, the thought of having 6 hours sleep a night is not me.
She
Like,
doesn't get me at all.
in fact, I sat and cried the other evening because I was just too tired and I couldn't really cope with the world. There was nothing else really. I was finding an excuse to cry because I just needed to goddamn cry because I felt so tired. Um, but I had it. My children were up all through the night. It was relentless, and trying to do everything was really, really difficult. But you know what? That time has come and gone now. And actually, I still shook it off, changed my state, stretched, got some fresh air, did something with the kids to tire them out, used the snippets of when my brain was kind of focused to focus. And you just learn to kind of get through and don't just use it as an excuse. If you use it as that excuse, it's doing far more damage to you than it needs to. The lack of
Yeah,
sleep is damage enough. It is hard enough without you allowing it to be the reason that you don't succeed or achieve anything, or your house is always a mess. Because that was my house was a mess because I was so goddamn tired because my child was up all night. No, it wasn't. My house was a mess because I freaking hate cleaning and housework, and that was a great excuse to not get off my ass and do it and to sit on my
yeah.
bum all day. And
So
that's
the
easy to look back. But
yeah, so the other flip side of that is that your child will sleep at some point. So
yeah,
even if your child sleeps in the day, you so this is the other thing. You don't have to think, oh my God, this is an hour where I could fit X, Y, Z in. If you bloody need the sleep because you've not had it the night before, have an hour's sleep with your child because then you'll have more energy to do the things in the spaces where your child's awake. So I will go, I call them nana naps. I will go for a nana nap in the afternoon. Sarah's like, what? I don't know, understand that. I have to fit in something. She's always saying to me, I don't get how you can sleep in the day. I
I've
didn't get how
never
you could
been good
sleep
at
in the
sleeping in the
day.
day. I can't switch off. It's not my body rhythm. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Don't I,
So
I don't stop.
I didn't get how you could sleep in the day because I used to jam packed my day with so many things because I used to have a full time job and run my business and have other commitments that I had. So the only time off that I ever used to have was Monday night, and I used to go to karaoke. But what that led to was a nervous breakdown because I was doing too many things. I was having like stupidly short sleep because I was trying to pack in more things in the day. I'd been told just do one more thing before you go to bed. So I just kept doing one more thing. But that
I think
lack of sleep and doing so much led to a nervous breakdown. So it's about creating that balance, which is why the timetable is so good.
yeah.
So for someone who's too much to do, for someone who's got dogs to walk, for somebody who's got 3 other jobs to do, put those commitments in
Oh,
your time plan.
the dog walking one. Oh my God, take your phone with you and schedule posts or do live videos or do bits that you need to do on your phone while you're dog walking. That's one of the easiest.
Yeah,
And here's another thing, because it's summer holidays. Do not feel guilty about taking your children to a soft play or a park and being on your phone while you are there. Your
yeah,
children get your attention and from you all the time. The whole point of going somewhere like that is to give yourself a little bit of the break so you're not their entertainment for a minute. So they have other children, they have a different kind of entertainment. And you are completely within that right. You're right to pick up your phone and do something for you at that point. Like, you do not have to feel guilty. I'm not saying don't have one-on-one time with your kids and actually be involved with your kids. You want that too. But by having that timetable, by having that schedule, you go, this is my hour where me and the kids are doing Play-Doh or baking or something wonderful. We're creating memories. We're cleaning together. Get your kids involved as well, right? Kids, we're all going to do the polishing. We're all going to do this. And then we're going to eat pancakes or whatever it is. But then don't feel guilty when you then put them in front of a film, take them to a soft play, take them somewhere else, put them in a creche, ask your mum to have them for a bit, whatever it is, so you can then focus on you. Both things are valid.
and because actually by doing that, you're helping your child become independent.
Yeah. Like, my children are so successful now from watching
I
what I do.
love Sarah's kids because of how independent they are. They they're amazing, and that's because they've been allowed to go and do things whilst Sarah has been been working, and they've not been watched over every single second of the day.
Yeah, there's probably a whole nother world to them that I don't know about, but but they're
I
incredibly
think they're
independent.
fabulous.
And I
And
didn't realize at the time, I don't think, when I went into this business and business started to become a success, there was no part of me that was going, oh, I'm doing this to be a role model for my children. I was doing it to pay for holidays to take my children on. I was doing it to be able to spend time and not to have a full-time job and have to put them into childcare. But I had no clue that actually the role model of being someone who was successful, earning money, controlled with her time, was teaching them all of that. The belief they have in themselves of what they can achieve is insane. Their organization skills with how they fit in, not just their schooling, but their clubs, their other things on top of that, is incredible. The best thing you can ever do for your children is live the life of your dreams and be as successful as you can. That will teach them miles more, because we all turn into our parents. Hand up as if you realize you turn into your mother at some points, and your husband's probably turning into their dad in some ways, because we learn the most when we are little, and we are learning from the people who are our role models more than what they say. We are learning from their actions. Your actions now are teaching your children far more than what they're learning at school or what you can tell them they should do. Again, that should. Sorry.
that's all right.
Sorry,
I think you're bringing up a really important point. So, one of the other things about having children is that, and I don't have children, I've learnt this through being a teacher, through my friends that have had children, is to allow them that time to figure out who they are. Allow them that time, even from being little. Because I know parents that I know there are parents that I know. They're like, oh, I can't just leave them on the park. I've got to stand with them, because what in case they fall? The thing is that they learn their independence by going on all these things. And if they don't want to go up something a bit taller, they just won't go on it, or they may ask for help. If your kid asks for help, that's fine. But let them go on all the other stuff. Do all of those things. Like Lucy yesterday in the garden, Sarah's youngest, she's 7, and she she did some jump and landed on a toe, and she went, my toe isn't working. And she kind of limped a little bit, and I was like, do your toes wiggle? Can you put your toes on the floor? Is your leg falling off? She was like, no. Next minute she was back playing some kind of made up volleyball game with her brother. She was fine. So what we can also do is we can invoke something called a negative anchor. So if one of your kids does fall, and I know it's tempting to do, because I've been tempted to do it with kids I've taught, and I'll be like, oh no, are you okay? And you go into that panic mode because you want to know if they're okay. Oh my goodness, and you put your arms around them, and they're there, it's okay. The next time you put your arm around them, they're in there, it's okay mode. You invoke that state from them. So that's why sometimes the child keeps coming back for that, because they're like, there, it's okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes
I have to admit, I was just writing the email while Lucy was doing it. There was no tears, there was no actual pain, therefore there was no
tears. And that's because all of your kids have gone through that. Is it okay? Are you really hurt, or is it something that you can just wiggle and move on from? And I can tell that from all the times I've spent with your kids, and all the times that one of them have fallen over or got scars on the knees or whatever. And I can always tell how a parent parents from how the child behaves when they fall over and hurt themselves.
Yeah, mine get up. You're not dying. Off you go. that comes from my mother. Shut up. Get on with it. Okay.
And actually, you're giving your child that confidence to learn about themselves that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we bring it back to confidence, if we bring
I was about to do the same.
If we bring it back to confidence, bring it back to taking responsibility for your own life by going through those things with your child, you're teaching them that too.
Yeah. So confidence is kind of an illusion, isn't it? I don't even know why we have this word confidence, because we all have things that we feel better equipped to handle. We all have things that feel new and outside our comfort zone. But at the end of the day, they're just all skills, and they're just all things that can
Yeah,
be learned and practiced. And I feel like by saying, oh, you need to be confident, you need to be more, it comes from school again, doesn't it? Or you need to be a bit more confident when you deliver that. You need to be a bit more, you just need
yeah,
to practice it a bit more. You just need to practice being louder when you do it now. Wouldn't that be so much better to tell people than you need? Because
yeah,
then you go, oh, they need this thing called confidence, and I don't know what confidence is, and I don't know how to get it, and I don't know what that means, but I'm lacking in confidence now because someone's told me I need to be more confident. Screw
yeah,
that. We're all the same. Some people are better at video because we've done more video. Some people are better at picking up
yes,
the phone because you've picked up the phone more. Some people are really good at working with schools because you used to be a teacher. It's not that they have confidence, it's because you've had practice with
yeah.
something. By the
A
time
lot
you've
of
done this boot camp, you will be more practiced in many areas.
a lot of stuff is practice. The other side of things is getting the knowledge to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I want to learn how to do TikTok. So I've been on a little TikTok course. And the one thing I learned the other day, which I thought was amazing, was do a 5 second video here, pause it, do a 5 second video here, pause it, do 5 seconds here, pause it, do 5 seconds here, save it in draft until you can deal with it. I was like, oh, I thought I had to do everything live. I didn't realize that I could save things as a draft. So
Yeah.
I know that over the last couple of days, there's been certain moments where I've saved things in drafts. I don't know what I'm doing with them yet, but I've just followed the first step. So, and I know that the more that I practice that, the better I'll be at it. So sometimes you need the knowledge if you don't know what you're doing, and that's okay. But actually, you
And
get better
that
by
brings back
practicing.
to a point that Estelle and I made on the last live, that we live in a world where knowledge is everywhere. And this can be
Mm,
overwhelming and bombarding, because you can just go, whoa, I don't know which course to do and I don't know where to start. But actually, just get on YouTube. Oh, I want to do a TikTok video, I don't know how. Google,
yeah,
how do I make a TikTok video? You'll be there in. I did this the other day. So Deb's call center was actually with British Gas. I'm sorry, I'm going to divulge it. I had massive.
just unshare the screen a minute so that we can see both of us again because we
So
don't do
I
that.
had a massive gas bill, electric bill the other day. It was a bit of a headache, wasn't it, Debs? You and I were both going through the bills. What the hell's happened? Why is my bill jumped up to 513 quid? And I went to look at, I have a smart meter, so all the meter readings go automatically. And I went and looked at this meter and I was like, I have no idea. And Deb's like, try pressing this button, try pressing that button, try pressing. And it was like, none of these are doing anything that I need it to do. So eventually I got off the phone and said to Des, I'm going to have to Google it. It took me 3 seconds to type in the meter number, and it gave me a walkthrough of exactly how to get my reading, what combinations of buttons I needed to press. And then I was back on the phone to Debs, like, I've got it. Like, I had no idea. 3 seconds it took me to find a video, then 30 seconds of watching it, I gained a new skill on something that I probably can't remember again now, because I've just go and Google it again if I need to do it again. But it's
Mm.
that knowledge is there, and
And
now I'm
also
more
it shows
confident.
you, yeah, and also it shows you that once you know the knowledge, you keep the knowledge. So
Yeah,
I haven't worked for BGB since 2013.
yeah,
Yeah, I still knew to direct you to the serial number, team meeting,
yeah. It was a
and you were
completely
like,
different thing.
I didn't know you knew all of this. This is like a whole new skill. So and that's the other thing. I wanted to come back to dyslexia
Yes.
because one of the things that we do when we have a label for something is we can either utilize the superpowers of that label or we can make excuses around it. So there, with dyslexia, there are certain things around dyslexia that will hold you back, like reading WhatsApp messages and stuff like that, keeping up with the things that are written. All phones now have got an audio version that where you can read out a message. So my friend who's dyslexic turns everything into audio and then either records an audio which turns it into text to send a message back or records voice notes. Voice notes are a thing these days. So there are always ways around it. So what ways around
Can you find?
dyslexia can you use to turn your skills into a superpower rather than using it as an excuse.
So
Where can you pause?
I do a lot of voice notes and a lot of video, and it's similar. So I actually said to you over dinner last night that there was a point that I always wondered if I'd been slightly dyslexic, never been diagnosed.
Yeah.
I used to do my letters backwards, my numbers backwards, my spelling was always atrocious, and you will see my typos. It's nearly impossible for me to put a post out on Facebook. And for ages, this held me back because I just wasn't professional enough. I didn't feel professional enough in my writing. So the idea of writing flyers or actual recruitment messages or adverts or training documents for my team, whoa, did I hold back from doing that? Because I know I will. There's so many words that I put the wrong word, like when I want to put don't, but I put not instead. Like, so my mind reads don't, but I write down not. Like it's very bizarre, but I do all these things. And in the end, I got to the point where it's like, I have to just do it regardless. I haven't got time to sit here and analyze and beat myself up that it's not going to be perfect. It's a running joke now that let's try and decipher Sarah's message because we have no freaking clue what it's actually meant to say.
Every time.
Even this morning, I sent one this morning at 5 a.m. I woke up, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to reply to that one. And I was really aware that I was half asleep. So it was likely to be like gobbledygook. And I was like, no, that's correct. Oh, no, I'll change that. That'd be slightly wrong. That's correct. I read it back at 7 o'clock. And I was like, what the fuck was that first sentence?
Yeah.
It made no sense. But it is, I don't use it as an excuse anymore. I don't use the fact that I put lots of typos or the wrong words as an excuse. I would just own it and go, do you know what? That's part of me. Like, you either love it, lump it, and move away from it, whatever. It is
and
what it is.
I usually giggle around it, and I'll turn the word into a different sentence so it's funny, and she's like, ha ha.
People say to me like, I know you're not thick, but I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, you're just it's adorable. Get used to it.
Do you know what it is though? It's a typical thing of a dyslexic that their brain runs faster than what they can, how they can type it.
Yeah. My brain goes so much faster than what I can type.
Yeah.
And in conversations
so
as well, I will skip things in conversations because I've already moved past, or get excited and butt in because I already know what you're going to say before it's come out your mouth. Quite often as well, because my brain has processed it already, and then I'm further ahead in the conversation. Yeah, it's a bizarre thing. I don't know whether I'm dyslexic or not. That is something that's always been on my mind that maybe I am. But again, it's just,
even if you were diagnosed, would you use it? Would you use the as a superpower, or would you make excuses
I
around
wouldn't
it?
want to know anymore, I don't think, because it makes no difference what labels were put on me whatsoever, because I'm just Sarah, and that is part of who I am.
Yeah, you can either be defined by the label or take responsibility over the things that you can use as your superpower. And you know, I'm passionate about people using their superpowers. What is your strength? Play to your strength. If you like doing video, going live every day, go live every day. If you like doing long-winded posts about things with pretty pictures, do that. If you're really good at talking to people face to face, set up the places that you can do all those face to face things with.
Yeah, I think that's it.
You don't need to like be a massive social media queen if you'd actually prefer to sit in staff rooms, libraries, and sell your books that way.
Do you know what I've loved about this live, Debs, is that I think we've really highlighted how everybody is unique to themselves and everybody needs to find their own way. So like the sleep, I could not nap in the way that you do. You could not do what I do, which is not really take breaks throughout the day and just work and then go to bed early. It just wouldn't ever work for you. But you find a way to manage it yourself with your own. So for some people, getting up an hour earlier, getting up at 5 a.m. before the kids get up, doing an hour, getting all their tasks done, everything done, feeling good for the day. I'm reading Miracle Morning at the moment. So I'm a morning person. I used to do my homework at 4 o'clock in the morning if I had an assignment because I needed the pressure to get, I couldn't concentrate if I stayed so late to do it. So I was better off to go to bed at 8 o'clock, set an alarm for 4, get up and finish my assignment. So for me, Miracle Morning is quite a good thing. For you, it would be an awful thing.
No, my zone is genius is after 9 p.m.
Exactly. So it's learning yourself, but then having the discipline within yourself. We've kind of talked about confidence and so much. I can't believe we've just looked for an hour in this. So just wrap up quickly. And feel free if you want to do a post or any videos or anything else in this, but how does someone start to feel more confident? Very quickly, tips on what they need to do now. If they're watching this and going, I'm not a confident person, although I really don't like that word. I'm practiced.
First thing, act as if you're confident. I always say, think of Simon Powell. You know that he looks confident because he puffs his chest out, his shoulders are back, he lifts his chin, he looks at people as he's walking. One of the massive things that I used to do when I used to deliver and collect catalogues is I would say hello to every single person I passed. Because most people have their head down like this.
Do you know what I've done? What I've done. So this goes in this. So we talk about stepping into the shoes of being, stepping into the confidence shoes, stepping. So actually, when I do a live like this, I always put perfume on and brush my teeth before I do it. You guys are not going to smell me or have my breath near you, but it's that is I'm about to present myself to the world. What I've brought for when I'm working in my office and I haven't got it with me is I went to Poundland and I got a crown. So if I need to focus on something, I'm going to be my queen. I'm going to be queen and own myself right now and own how good I am at my job and put my crown on. So if you need
that's an anchor. So that's an anchor. So you know that I have pants for different things that I do. So today I have my Wonder Woman pants on because I'm training. So if I'm coaching somebody, I wear my Yoda pants because I might need to use the force. And if I'm socializing, I might or going to see a lot of people, I might wear my Harry Potter pants.
I don't want to know what your leg snickers are for.
Right. But it's an anchor for how you feel and stepping into whatever you want to be like that day. So choose a thing for you that works. If you don't want to wear pants, wear socks. As an anchor, what I'm meaning. That's where, you know, in the past people had lucky things, lucky fox tails or whatever, lucky key rings, lucky things that they put on. All that is an anchor for how you're going to be at that point.
Kerry just put a good one. In lockdown, she got showered and dressed every day, and then would go sit at her desk, or she wouldn't. Yeah, I was the same in lockdown. I got up every morning, I got showered. Apart from hangover days after virtual pubs were dead on a Friday, those days I didn't move. But every other day I got up, and it's what I say to my kids. My eldest has just finished his GCSEs. He's at home now. I'm like, you get up, you get dressed. We are not having this whole like laze around because you need to change your state. I really recommend going and buying a £1 crown. And when you need to do your task and when you need to be amazing, put it on. You'll be a different person. It's so, our brains are so incredible how we can change our state and how we feel and believe in ourselves just with an item of clothing, just for a different change, you know, your special.
Find what works for you.
Exactly.
Find what works for you. And so the other thing is that I know there'll be a lot of you that will say, oh, I can't go and meet people because I've got to stay at home. So who goes networking? I met Sarah through networking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know Sarah if it wasn't networking.
No.
You know, how many people do that? I actually run a networking group because I wanted to meet more business owners. That's the reason I decided to run my own group.
Yeah, I think it's getting out, seeing people, meeting people. But what you, Duncan, and Estelle, I never would have met if it wasn't. So Estelle, I first saw speak at a stage at Fraser Brooks conference. You know, I was sat behind her in the VIP area. Didn't really get to speak to her then sent her, 4 months later or something, a request on LinkedIn, and then she slid into my DM. So it's that kind of thing. You and I had kind of crossed paths online in the same networking group, and then, met properly at that virtual pub networking.
I met Duncan. I travelled all the way to Ascot from Sheffield, which was 4.5 hours or something ridiculous, because Duncan was speaking at a networking meeting, and I'd heard how good he was.
Yeah.
That's how I met Duncan.
Well, Donkey is up in an hour as well, so he is next. So I think we will wrap up there because you and I could talk all day.
We could talk forever,
all day.
In fact, put me, you, and Duncan on together, and
we've done it before.
These ladies would never work again, so probably best not.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's wrap up. I will speak to you all shortly. Take care, everybody.